On the mountain, etc., etc. And then I start the episode by singing the semi-improvised theme tune. It's a Maude Flanders, straight man and busty villain. She's a ghost from the Simpsons TV show, and this is a podcast about her and the tattoo on your leg. There is the theme tune to episode 2 of the Maudecast, incorporated some facts that you gave me in episode 1. So how are you today,
I'm very good. Brother? All good. How are you today?
I am good.
Good.
I'm not too bad at all, and looking forward to episode 2. Episode 1 was a tour de force of Maude memorabilia. But
I agree.
We're not ready to settle down into the mid-pace of the show just yet, because today, if anything, is ratcheting things up another gear. So why don't you tell the people at home what they can expect from today's show? Or maybe you don't want to.
I don't want to. No, today will be her first appearance, which is season 2, Dead Putting Society.
Yes.
And this is the first time that she appears. I'm assuming that's Dead Poet Society. It's just not not the strongest wordplay that we've done.
And the story of the episode does not bear any resemblance to Dead Poet Society, the movie.
Also, it might be, what year did Dead Poet Society come out? Because this was like 1991 or something.
But the book has been about, I don't know.
Yeah.
Fact check. I was neither the time nor the place. I don't know. Maybe somebody out there can tell us what the relevance is of that. Maybe we're missing something.
Yeah. That isn't on us. It's on them.
That's something that the Simpsons manufacturers need to really, take a bit more time. What's the big idea of the Maudecast for people who are just joining us bizarrely at the beginning of episode 2, even though episode 1 is almost certainly right next to them on the YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Big idea.
Just chat it out about Maude, see what we can learn, see if there's anything new to learn. I've already learned 2 new things from this one episode that we're about to look at.
Do you want to drop those in during the chat, or do you want to give those to people now?
No, we'll do that later, otherwise that'll be me done.
That'll be you done. You've only brought 2 things to the table, and you're going to keep them in your pocket until the time.
2 very short talking points.
Okay, now I wanted to see if you wanted to follow upon something in the last episode that you said, that she was the anti-Marge, Maude Flanders was the anti-Marge, and she is a mirror into what you can reflect the Simpson family. I'm quoting you directly. She is a mirror into what you can reflect the Simpson family. Would you care to elaborate on that?
I will, and I also have more evidence. So this is the 3rd talking point that I forgot about. In this episode, there's a scene with Homer and Marge where they're in bed, and Marge turns around to Homer and says, "Homer, stop, quit tossing," because he's moving around a lot. And then the next scene is Ned and Maude in bed, and Maude says, "Neddy, why are you tossing? Is everything okay?"
So Marge's like, she's not interested in what's underlying Homer's concern in the night, but
no.
Maude, right there,
they have an adult conversation.
Yeah.
So is that elaborate? Elaborated?
That's a good piece of evidence, and you can bring more next time if you want. We'll build this up over the course of her being a rusty villain and anti-Marge.
I'm also going to keep a fact file of things that we learn. We should probably do that next time, actually. I'll say the things we already know, and then in the last one, if there is a last one, we will look at what new things we learned on this journey.
Oh yeah, there'll certainly be a last one. It might just not be planned. Maybe an asteroid will hit us, and this will be discovered henceforth in a million years. And they were like, "Where's episode 33?"
Yeah.
It just finishes abruptly at 32 with a scream. Anyway, so people do need to know is that we are the staff of the Maude Flanders Internet Museum Theme Park and Database. And we work there pretty much full time as our job, you and I. I've only just recently started in this mysterious establishment, but you've been there several years. What's been happening at the museum this week?
Nothing. It's closed.
It is closed. We did get that delivery on Thursday, didn't we?
Oh, yeah. New pens.
New pens. They're those pens that wobble. You know when you like shake a pencil and it looks like it's wobbling?
Yeah.
These pens do that by themselves if you just hold them.
Wonderful.
And also we got that collection of ancient Egyptian Simpsons memorabilia where Maude is the Sphinx, life size.
Yeah.
You remember that?
I do. You seem to know a lot more about this week at the museum than I do.
Well, I rocked up just for a day. We're not supposed to go there officially, but I just couldn't stay away. And I noticed a life-size Sphinx in the car park. And it's not the sort of thing you can ignore, is it?
I'm going to. It's going to stay there.
All right. So one announcement I'd like to make is that the car park for the Maude Flanders Internet Museum Theme Park and Database is currently closed due to Sphinx-related. So here's what I'd like to do before we launch into the real content, the core of our show, the reason why people are here. A first appearance of Maude Flanders. But we've been getting some letters, comments, and complaints since our first episode went up on the internet a week ago. Now, so one message I got from my good friend Katja Muller of Frankfurt said that she, in response to our podcast, had started her own based on Flawed Manders, which is apparently Maude Flanders' evil twin. Now, what are the chances of Maude Flanders' evil twin marrying a man called Manders?
It is intriguing.
It's intriguing. So, Katja, we'll be checking out your episodes of your upcoming show at flawedmanders.co.de.
Yes.
So big up to that one. Yeah.
We
got a letter.
Is flawed spelled FLAWED?
No, not as in broken, but as an evil twin. That's very clever. Right, well done, Miss Muller. You really are thinking ahead of the curve there. But one letter we did get, which is surprising because this came even before the episode had been uploaded, and this was from a man called Keith Burpington. He doesn't give any more details than that, and his question is, what's Maude's favourite colour?
That is a good question that we don't have an answer to yet officially.
Would you like
as a guess? Pink.
Okay, why is that?
Shoes, outfit.
All right, I think that. And so
I had some feedback.
Go ahead.
Some feedback from our mother who said she got through half and...
She got through half?
Yeah, and she can hear me.
Is she in the room?
No, she's... No,
Don't talk about me.
Well, you gave your opinion.
Mother, you said you listened to half, but that's
She got bored.
Got bored. So our mother, she is the only person who shared this, though, with other people on Facebook, so that's good. That's nice.
How did she? Thanks.
Yeah, she did. So, shall we move now seamlessly into the main part of this show? So, tell us a little bit, Nathan. What do we need to know in a nutshell, if you like? What do we need to know about the show itself, the episode where Maude's first appearance is? Anything, or do we just jump in?
This episode is about Homer's anger with this. I think it's the first Ned one, really, as well. So he's jealous that Ned has a better life. So Ned and Homer somehow get Bart and Todd into a golf challenge.
So essentially the premise is there's a golf showdown between Bart Simpson and Ned's son Todd.
Ned's older son Todd, which is strange because he is the smaller one.
Oh, so Todd's the same age as Bart, right?
Well, Todd's the same age as Bart, but I don't know if that makes Rod the same age as Lisa or if Rod's just older than all of them. But yeah, Todd and Bart.
All right, so go on.
That's about it.
First clip, we see Maude come into the room and she gives some sandwiches on a little tray to Ned and Homer, and Ned says, "There's my little popcorn gal. Club sandwiches, ain't she wonderful? Yeah, yeah."
Yeah, and she says something to the rhythm of, "I brought you some sandwiches."
Oh yeah, okay.
That's her first line.
That's the very first line that she says in the whole show. "I brought you some sandwiches."
I thought you were hungry, so I made some sandwiches. A variety of that sentence.
Well, she did say that. I should have written that down, to be honest. That's probably more pertinent than what Ned responded.
Yeah, it's kind of assumed would be a given.
that Maude's very first line in the show would be recorded by her.
Yeah.
Well, as it stands, we're somewhat unclear as what her first line was, but it's along the lines of her making some little triangular club sandwiches.
I think you boys were hungry, so I whipped up some club sandwiches.
And that's nice of her, and that tells us a lot already about considerate, and she makes a darn fine club sandwich. It wasn't just a piece of ham slapped between two pieces of bread, was it?
No, she'd really tried. There was little sticks in the sandwiches.
The little sticks that you put in the club sandwiches, yeah.
But the general goal here is to make her look better and more considerate than Marge, is the whole point of her being in this episode.
Yeah, because Homer loses it because he thinks that Ned's kind of rubbing his face in the fact that Ned's better than him. Is that right?
Yeah. The next time she's referenced is just after she leaves, and he says, "Your wife's butt is higher than my wife's butt." So that is the second thing we learn. She is objectified.
Ooh. By Homer.
Yes, that starts that storyline off that will be continued throughout her existence.
It's a trope, isn't it, that Homer consistently is lecherous over Maude Flanders.
Yes. Maude A.
Maude A. Your wife's butt is higher than my wife's butt. You make me sick.
Yes.
Next time we see them in a four-poster bed. That's Ned and Maude. It's the middle of the night. And this is what you talked about earlier. Maude says, "Ned, you're tossing. What's the matter?" And then Maude lies there essentially motionless, just occasionally blinking, while Ned laments about how he has made Homer feel bad by rubbing his nose in it and how he became a snarling beast.
Yes, and then Maude suggests, well, I don't know if this is the joke for us, but I don't know if what the context is. She says, "Maybe I'm not the one you should be talking to." So then he calls Reverend Lovejoy at like 4 a.m. or whatever it is. So the joke is obviously he was supposed to talk to Homer, but I don't know if Maude knows that. I don't know if Maude was suggesting to talk to Homer or to Reverend Lovejoy.
It's a funny joke. It's weird because it's obviously he's not the person to speak to. You should go speak to Homer, but he instantly picks up the speed dial at 4 a.m., which he has Lovejoy on both home and work on his speed dial, and he doesn't hesitate to call Reverend Lovejoy at 4 a.m.
Reverend Lovejoy's response is something along the lines of maybe he stepped on a piece of Lego. So it's already established this is something that happens too much for the Reverend life.
Ned doesn't hesitate to call the Reverend. But how about Maude here? This is just an example, like you said earlier, of her being very supportive of Ned.
Very generic at this point.
There's not a lot to her, but she's very calm. She blinks and then she says, "Come on, Ned, you know the right thing to do." And then Ned does something completely different. But she doesn't respond to that. She doesn't say, "Ned, I clearly meant Homer."
Yeah, no, I think she meant Reverend Lovejoy. That's what I'm gonna.
Also, they both back up this idea that calling Reverend Lovejoy at 4 a.m. is a good idea. So Maude's maybe not any more sensible in this area than Ned is.
Maybe. I'm just assuming that, again, with the home dial situation, that she's got to be used to this happening as well. So it can't have come as much of a surprise.
Yeah, we don't know much about her relationship with the church and everything yet. Maybe we'll have to watch quite a lot to find out stuff. But if we move on to the next clip there, so then Ned and Homer are in the garden arguing, and they're deciding to make some kind of bet to see who's better. And during this one, Ned suggests that it should be a batch of your wife's delicious homemade blueberry muffins against one of my wife's homemade wind chimes. Well, Homer's not buying that. What do we know about wind chimes?
I didn't know that was. I've missed that in the 30 years that I've been watching this program, that she makes wind chimes. So there's something to put on the list straight away.
Is that one of the two things that you learned?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
To be perfectly honest, I kind of forgot what the other one was.
Well, I'm sure it'll come back later. What was how do we ever see these wind chimes anywhere? Because we got to keep our eyes open for wind chimes in the Flanders house, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that's it. I think that's it.
Well, I'm really hoping it wasn't just a throwaway line by the writers of the show. That would be disappointing. We'll dig deeper into this wind chime scenario and work out a little bit more about what they might look like. Readers, maybe you want to draw your own and send them in.
Make a wind chime.
Yeah, make your own wind chime. Take a photograph and send it in. And what would Maude's wind chimes look like?
Yeah, there's no address to send it to, but still try.
Well, you can post it as a comment on Facebook or on YouTube.
Yes,
and we'll read them. We read every single comment will be read, and many of them will be judged harshly. So be nice, because this is we're in charge here at the Flanders Internet Theme Park Database Museum. We can take your quotes out of context and essentially use them in any way we like, so be careful. Sorry?
We're from Platt Bridge, us.
Yeah, aren't we? No,
we are.
Well, it's Abram, isn't it, really?
Well, yeah. Anyway.
So that's not the end. In fact, that's really just the beginning of the plot of the show. Now, the next time we see Maude and the family, the game is on. They're at the mini golf place. Maude, Ned, Rod and Todd are holding hands in a circle and they're praying, and Homer comes up and starts jiving them. And
well, this is the first time you see Rod, which is interesting to know, because you've seen Todd a few times, so it's already, until this point, it just sort of seems like they have one son.
Okay.
And then Rod's there and it's just not mentioned. So I don't know when Rod becomes more relevant, but it's just sort of, strange that until this point you would assume they had one child.
Oh, but it's very clear from this that they have two, and they're standing in a circle openly praying, so this again shows us the idea that they're a very religious family and they don't mind showing their religiosity together in a circle at the mini golf place. And it turns out they're praying that no one gets hurt. They're not praying to win, as Homer assumes.
I'm going to say that was her idea.
Really? What makes you think that?
Yeah. I think Ned would still have been relatively into his argument or bet at this point, and she would have said, no, we're going to pray that everybody's safe.
She does seem like the calm one in this scenario, and Ned might have got whipped up into a frenzy by the thought of that competition, especially at the cost of losing, which we don't know yet. We're not told the
He will also go on to have a full psychotic breakdown later that reveals that he has anger issues to deal with.
But that's
so maybe, but we could imply that is why he is so uncharacteristically into this bet.
Maude is the voice of reason here then, and she's keeping the family together with these prayers, while Ned, the snarling beast as he refers to himself earlier in the episode. Now, as they start arguing, Homer and Ned, we cut back to see Maude, who kind of has a shocked look on her face. It's the first time we've seen Maude anything other than calm, so it looks like this is her line, this is her trigger word. These two guys are going at it in public, and she's a little bit shocked. Marge, by contrast, almost has a grin on her face, but that could be the uncomfortable grin that she sometimes wears when Homer is embarrassing her.
I think, again, it comes back to this whole mirror idea, because Marge is always played to be a little bit more of a, like in this episode actually, when Ned writes Homer a letter to apologise, and Bart, Lisa and Homer and Maggie all laugh while they're reading the letter. Marge is the only one who says that's a horrible thing to do, and then she leaves the room and laughs. So they're trying to say that Marge isn't particularly much better than Homer when it comes to it. So I think she's there's a part of her that wants to see Homer beat Flanders.
Yeah, and you see this, so as it goes through, and they go through the rising tension of this game, they keep going back to the crowd, and most people are concerned when one of their families is losing, but generally Maude is just kind of like staring blankly into space in most of these clips.
Yeah, she also claps. She does clap for Bart. I noticed that. Really? They put that in.
Well, that's
she clapped for Bart, but I didn't notice. I didn't look about Marge clapping for Todd. I didn't notice.
No. I mean, Marge is carrying Maggie, so it'd be hard anyway, but I don't know if she would, given the chance.
So yeah, there's another point for her just wanting. I think she wants peace.
So as it gets closer in the game and Ned shouts, "Mercy is for the weak," and we see Ned's rage starting to come out, Maude seems to be a little bit angered. Maybe her mouth is a little bit downturned, but generally she's keeping her poker face. And with the occasional, maybe mild glimpse of emotion there.
I think the easiest answer is they obviously just Yeah, she was there to be Ned's wife. So I think she was being reserved because, again, she's a peacekeeper. She doesn't want to make a scene.
True, but it also could be, as you suggested, just be lazy animators who felt like there's no reason for animating this character because she brings literally nothing to this scene.
They didn't animate her with the intention of a podcast coming 31 years later to discuss her movements.
I would say that the Simpsons thought process runs deep, and I don't know if we can really make that assumption. But what we can say is that as the game comes to almost a conclusion, Maude is standing arms by her side, like static, almost frozen. Her fingers spread, her four fingers, but she gasps as the rest of the crowd does, as the ball almost hits Lincoln's legs. And
whose ball?
Bart's ball, I believe. She gasps in time with the rest of the crowd. And so she shows that emotion there. Finally, it comes out. A little bit of Maude's true feelings comes out. She does want Todd to win on some level. But then the two boys decide that the game needs to be a draw and they're not going to fight this silly battle anymore. And everyone turns and jibber jabbers to each other. Maude does not. She stands stoic, as we said, stationary, just staring forward into space. Come on, Nathan, what could be going on here?
I think she's processing what's happened. She doesn't want to. I don't know. Maybe she's angry deep down. That would be the only explanation, because the way she's been being built up this whole time is that she would run over and embrace this idea of peace, but she doesn't. So maybe maybe in that moment she realized everything she'd been working towards was a lie and peace wasn't something she really cared about.
Oh my goodness. Now, you've taken a lot from that, and I have to say I agree with you 100%. I think everything had suggested that Maude here was the peacemaker. She was the voice of reason. She stood there taking all of these bows and arrows of outrageous fortune that were just flying around her. And we thought as the game was decided in a peaceful draw, she would run over and embrace her son and say, "I'm so proud of you, Todd." But no, instead she stood just staring, 1,000-yard stare into space. Who knows what she was thinking about? It seems like, as you said, maybe her world had come crashing down around her feet. But to her credit, she pulls it back together quickly, because the next thing we see is Maude slightly concerned, a concerned look on her face, the most concerned she'd been when Ned goes to talk to Homer about what is the outcome of this peaceful situation. She seems now
worried,
concerned. Yes.
Yeah. She is. I would say that is right. She is concerned. I don't know. The peace things throw me off.
So often when revolutionary ideas like that come along, and you reframe your entire perception of how something and someone has been, often you feel that way. But take a second, Nick, because your opinion on this is valued and highly important.
Yeah.
What is she thinking when that look of concern finally comes over her face when Ned goes in to talk to Homer? And we think they're all going to shake hands, but Homer, of course, insists that nobody has won, and therefore they both have to lose and go through with the bet, which is to wear their wife's Sunday best and mow their lawn in it.
Yeah.
Maude seems concerned. Could it be that she's concerned that her dress is going to get ruined and really that she's that shallow?
Well, at this point, she doesn't know that's going to happen because nobody won. So,
well, she's sharp, isn't she? Maybe she'd already worked. Maybe she's 3 steps ahead of both Ned and Homer. She'd worked out that this is what was going to happen. But no, let's not give her too much credit.
I do like that, though.
She's some kind of mastermind. Have we seen any evidence of that so far?
No, but there is. I will send you this link. I think I put it in that Google Doc thing, but there's a full theory about how she's a sociopath and her ultimate goal was to kill Ned.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, we'll definitely have to talk about that theory, although it's creepy and I don't know if I really like it. Because so far, Matt hasn't given us any suggestions that she's anything other than a decent person who's simply concerned that her husband and the next door neighbor are going to continue their feud even after their sons have shown them the right way to go.
Yeah, so maybe she's just snapped back into her moments past, the peace, she'll work on that. It's not the end of the world for her. However, she's snapped back to the present, and peace is falling apart again. So her natural response would be, "Oh no, I have to do something about this," because she's already instinctively forgotten that she's just died inside.
Oh my goodness. I mean, there's a lot there. Obviously, we're not going to dig into it now. We'll leave that for the next 48 episodes. But the last time we see Maude is she stood on her driveway with her family, as are the Simpson family next door, watching. Oh no, they're all stood together, aren't they? All the wives and children are all stood together, watching Homer and Ned mow their respective lawns. Now, Ned is resplendent in Maude's Sunday best. It's a lime green outfit with a lilac hat and a kind of like small ruff around the neck, pearl necklace and earrings. And
I could see Maude wearing that, which is interesting.
Did we ever see her wearing that?
No, not to my knowledge. But yeah, it's an interesting. It doesn't look like if this episode had come maybe 3 years later when they'd established her slightly more. I don't think that's how that outfit would have been designed.
You think the outfit would have been a little bit more
conservative and less lime green?
It is a bit wacky, isn't it? It's a little bit out there. Or it's almost as if they were deliberately trying to make the outfit look ridiculous. And rather than making one that Maude would wear to church on a Sunday, and I don't know if I can really respect the Simpsons writers for pulling such a trick.
No, I don't think it's right at all.
No.
I think it's scummy.
I mean, that's a harsh thing to say, but probably fair given the fact that. Here's what I think. Probably after Ned had mown the lawn in that, Maude would have just thrown the outfit away, and she would have just gone and she would just gone and bought another one, a nicer one, and that probably accounts that maybe this more flamboyant outfit was from an earlier Maude, and maybe Ned had done her a favor by ruining it by getting grass stains all over it.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that so that's also not Marge's outfit for her. So yeah, I think it was a blatant attempt to make something look funny.
It's just a gag, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just for laughs, cheap laughs.
Cheap laughs. Shame on you, Simpsons writers.
Yeah.
Who wrote this episode? Do we know?
No.
Doesn't matter. But shame on you. It's like the equivalent of just doing a funny voice or a silly dance. Shame on you, Simpsons writers. Now, so that's the end of that episode. So we got through Maude's first full appearance, and she popped up several times. Is there anything you want to add to that, or do you think we've analysed the heck out of it there?
No, I think we've covered all bases. I think the second thing I was going to talk about, we covered.
All right.
The most interesting thing that I learned was the wind chimes fact.
It is intriguing, and I really wish that this had been woven more into Maude's life. Although obviously, it is going to appear several times in our conjectures about her time spent. And
yeah.
I don't know if your segue detector just popped up there, but maybe that's a good way to jump into our next section of the show, which is spectral speculations, reading between the lines to conjecture about Maude's past. So this week, I'm not going to pull any punches, Nathan. I'm going to go right into Maude's birth. And I would like you to describe Maude Flanders, or whatever her name was back then, her birth.
Her birth.
Her birth, the birth of Maude Flanders. And I've allotted about 5 to 7 minutes for this.
Okay.
All right.
So I imagine it was some kind of miracle situation where I believe, and again, this is based on absolutely nothing, but no facts. I believe that Maude's birth led her parents to become religious, which is why Maude is in turn religious, because of her own birth being some kind of, maybe they thought they couldn't have kids and they did. Maybe they found her. Let's just go for the first one. Something along those lines, that she was brought to them. Yeah, she was some kind of quasi-Jesus.
Oh, there's bold claims coming thick and fast in this episode, and I like them. I got to say, I like them. So some kind of semi-miraculous conception that led to Maude's birth. But what of the birth itself? Where was
peaceful.
She? What year? Did Mother suffer from labour pains for long? Was it over in a few minutes?
Home birth, natural.
A natural home birth. And we're talking in the 50s here, probably, right?
Yeah, we're basing it on, again, time is difficult because specifically for Maude because there's a period of time where, like, you can have things that are set now on The Simpsons. Like, The Simpsons now is set now, but Maude is dead. So The Simpsons before Maude was alive was set in the 90s.
Ooh.
So let's just say it's now and she dies this year.
Okay.
I would put her at
she died 20 years ago. But let's just say, come on, let's just say that.
Yeah, so she's got to be late 50s.
Alrighty.
The reason for that is Ned is 60, and flashbacks have shown them to have not that big, at the most a 5-year age gap.
Okay. So
maybe 10.
Can we say, go on, take a stab at a year. What year are we looking at?
48.
1948, wow.
Yeah, that's far too old, isn't it?
It's early, very early.
Yeah, no, let's chip that down. What is 54 years away from now in the past?
Well, it's in 1954. That sounds about right.
Let's just go for that.
So 1954, she's in what we say Fargo. Imagine they stayed there for their entire lives, right?
Yeah. I see a farm as well.
Farm?
A farm. Maybe not living on a farm, but definitely a farming community.
Nice. Yeah, farming community.
I also think you don't really hear the accent in this episode. I think it comes later. So we're going to see how her voice changes over time.
That's groovy. And so little Maude, her mother expels her from the womb. What's Maude's mother's name?
Marilyn.
Marilyn. Do we know her last name? Do we know Maude's maiden name?
We don't officially know it, but I can pick one out of my head now, as like I just did with that birth story.
Go ahead.
Goodman.
Oh, last time maybe we did. Marilyn Goodman. So Maude Goodman is pulled by the midwife up into the air, and her little yellow bottom is smacked. She's brought into the world in 1954 in a small farming community in Fargo, North Dakota. Is that it?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I feel like it was an easy, uncomplicated birth.
Nice. Lots of nice things happening there. Was it a beautiful day outside, or was the rain lashing down?
Neither.
Oh.
It was placid. The weather looked how Maude looked in the golf tournament scenes.
Okay, so
static,
stoic, and as if she'd been going through PTSD.
Yeah, like a grey day, but it isn't raining.
A pleasant grey day.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, that takes us on nicely to probably our final section, because I don't think today the world will allow us to dig into the news, but I have found a piece of Simpsons art. And
excellent. What
I have done is I found a homemade Maude Flanders statue figure from the Simpsons collector sector of a website called Tapatalk. Now, this is here's to quote the user, Pabloj JC, last active in the year 2014.
Yes.
I made a Maude with a Edna, removed her, sculpty body and face, add new hair and paint the body. Accessories, bags, photo, and Bible. So I'm going to share my screen with you, Nathan, and maybe you can have a look at this and maybe analyze.
I've seen this many times, and I can already tell you that I like it a lot.
I'll tell you what, I like it a lot also. She's essentially somehow sculpted a Maude Flanders figure on top of an Edna Krabappel, which in itself, the layers, Nathan, the layers.
I can talk onto this for a moment if you like.
I would love you to do that. Maybe you can describe it a little for the people at home who may or may not be able to see this on your screen, if I can be bothered putting it up there.
Yeah, so here's some context. It's a Maude Flanders action figure, and the context is between the year 2000 and 2005 or something like that, 2006, they released a lot of Simpsons figures, like a World of Springfield, where they released almost every character you can think of, including Mr. Burns' son, played by Rodney Dangerfield, and Stephen Hawking, and the Mafia Don, who appeared once. The only character with more than a season's worth of appearances who does not get a figure. Would you like to hazard a guess?
Yes, I know already from context, even though I didn't.
Yeah.
Is it Maude Flanders by any chance?
Yeah, it is. This is the interesting thing as well. It had something to do with the voice chips. The voice chipped the figures, and the actress had quit So there was something to do with that, but they did release like 5 other, like the other characters that she voices, they released all of those. And then,
isn't it?
So yeah, the final point of this point is that the most recent collection included Maude with the Flanders, with the rumpus room that she first appeared in, with the club sandwiches.
Oh yeah,
that was the next like play set to be released in the collection, and they cancelled the collection before they even made a prototype for the figures. So Maude is the most, not just for me in this context, Maude is the most lamented figure from that collection, because it's the only one that it doesn't make sense that they don't have.
Yes.
So
it's the most famous non-represented figure.
Yeah, so this is why this person has made this Maude using that collection. And I'm looking at the Edna now, and I can see where he's coming from. However, during quarantine, I've had a lot to think about, and I've thought about doing this myself, because I recently bought, for under £10, I bought a Britney Spears Simpsons figure.
Oh.
And when it arrived, I looked at it and thought, Jesus Christ, that's just Maude's face.
You're going to use some sort of like modeling clay, maybe, to refashion.
I don't think I'm going to be able to do this successfully, and I also would have to buy doubles of all the 3 figures, which would be expensive, so it's probably not going to happen. But I would make it. This is where we come back to the actual thing you asked me to talk about, the picture.
Yes.
Where he has used. Let me look at the face again. So he's used Edna's face, hasn't he?
I've got to say, this is. I don't want to criticize this user because they've done a very good job, but I don't know if he's quite captured Maude's features in this.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that is because I think he's used an entire Edna figure. This is what I would do. I would be rip the head off Britney, somehow shave her head, ironically.
Oh.
So she is hairless once again.
Yes.
And then I don't even think I would, this is controversial, but I don't even think I would use an Edna. I think I would use a Helen Lovejoy.
Yes, I think you're not wrong there. I'm no expert, but it seems
like
Helen Lovejoy.
A Helen Lovejoy skirt with a Miss Hoover torso and a Britney Spears head and sculpted her. I think that would do the trick.
I think so. But if we look at user Pablo, oh, I've just realized it's Pablo JC, right? If we look at Pablo JC, the Maude figure, which again, he's done a remarkable job.
It looks very good. It looked like I've seen a lot of these things knocking about. He's done a few. He's done like Marge's mum and Homer's mum.
Oh, there's a whole set to go on there, yeah. I'll put the link in.
They look difficult to make. I've seen a lot of people attempt this with various things over the year, and this is one of the much better looking ones that doesn't. You can tell it's homemade, but it's one of the least homemade looking ones.
Yeah, what I'm interested in here. So she's got a Holy Rollers. Is that a bowling bag there?
Yeah.
She's got a Holy Rollers bowling bag. She's got a picture of Ned. She's got a Springfield Mall bag, and she has what I'm guessing is a Bible in her hand.
Yeah.
You want to comment on any of those 4 items?
I think that's what's brought the set together, if you will. They're the things, they relate to Maude well. That is probably what you would get if the figure came out. Maybe a wind chime.
Wind chime would be a left, after what we just established earlier, wind chime would have been a left field choice. But for the listeners who bizarrely are still with us but don't know anything about Maude Flanders, what is the relevance of the Springfield Mall bag and the Holy Rollers bag?
There's an episode, the Pin Pals episode, one of the competing teams is Ned, Maude, Reverend Lovejoy, and Helen. I think that bag came from the Helen Lovejoy figure, to be honest.
So it does. The bag has no relevance whatsoever to Maude.
Yeah, no, she's on the bowling team with Ned and Reverend Lovejoy.
Oh, yeah, but the Springfield Mall bag, no relevance.
Not really.
The Ned and the Holy Rollers, very relevant. In the Bible, if it was, it's the second piece of artwork that features a Bible, and I'm sure lots of them will. Springfield Mall. Don't know. But all in all, I'm going to give it 6.5 Maudes.
Out of 10? Okay. I'm not going to be this generous all the time, but I'm going to give it 9 just because I've seen it. It's been around for a few years, and if someone offered me it, I would take it happily.
All right. Well, maybe Pablo JC is selling it. You can vlog it. Pablo, if you're listening, send us a message. See,
send it for free.
What do you want for it? 20? 20 quid?
Yeah, I'll take all of them that he's done, to be honest. I wouldn't mind. There's a Janie. There's all kinds of stuff. This isn't just Maude. We could do 25 on Janie.
Oh, we could, but this is a Maude Flanders-based podcast, and maybe there's a way for Janie to be part of it. But for now, I think let's leave it there and move into the final part of our show where we talk about the next episode.
Yes.
What might be coming up in Maude's second appearance in The Simpsons?
More of the same. It's the marriage retreat. Homer and Marge argue and go to a marriage retreat where Ned and Maude are also attending because something to do with he underlined passages in her Bible, so that's why they're there.
All right, well, if that doesn't hook people in, I don't know what will. So stay tuned for episode 3 of the Maudecast. They said it couldn't be done. Episode 3 of the Maudecast coming your way very soon. Now, as is the tradition in our show, we should improvise our outro music based on anything that we like about this show or facts that have popped up in the show. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you did a very good job of sorting out the last one.
Oh, this one's going to be even better, so don't worry. Just go for it. General look of quiet concern.
Dead inside, dead inside, dead inside, dead.
The birth of Maude, no Janice Hubla, Marilyn Goodman had a good birth.
Breakdown of the concept of faith.
Removed the hair of Edna, added new hair and painted the body.
Janie Powell.
And what is Maude's favorite color? And why does she make such fine wind chimes?
Lime green Sunday dresses thrown in the bin.
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 Janie Powell.
Good.
Yeah,
that's the end of the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am going to stop recording.